Afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Shared Light with Dusty and JR. I'm obviously JR.
I'm Dusty.
Um, and on this episode, we're just going to kind of continue off where we left off last time. I believe last time we talked a little bit about my background, where my kind of some of my light to dark, or some dark to light. I guess it was kind of both, right? Light to dark, dark to light. But today we'd like to share Dusty's story, so you guys can get a general sense of, what her perspective on dark is, maybe where some of her darkness comes from and what fuels it, and some of the things that also have brought her light throughout her life. So without further ado, here's my beautiful wife.
So, I don't even know where to start. I was born and raised California till I was around 10. My mom was a single mom for quite a few years. And so we spent a lot of time and got a lot of help from her parents, especially my grandpa. So he was like, a second dad to us. I feel like him and I had a pretty close relationship. Um, and then my mom met my stepdad um, when I was around 5. But up until then, my dad was, my grandpa. My biological dad left when I was a baby. I don't even think I was 1. I don't remember how old I was, but I don't really have memories of him. So when I was too young to remember. So my dad was my grandpa, and my grandpa was, um, everything that my mom is, everything that I am. He taught us, to be kind and to not judge other people, and you never know what someone's going through, just because they are having a hard time when you meet them, when you see them, or, throughout their life, doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Um, so we spent a lot of time there. He instilled a lot of my values into me. Even, after he passed, my mom is exactly like him. So a lot of the things that, she is and she believes is just you take care of people, we're caretakers. I don't know if it's a good thing, I think, to see needs in people. I feel like I kind of have whatever that word is, a niche for it. Like, I just pick up on people's feelings and emotions, and I feel like anything that I can do to help somebody, like, that's what I want to do. And that was my grandpa. Anything anybody ever needed. Um,
And for context, you have siblings,
I do. I have 3 siblings, so there's 4 of us growing up.
so you're kind of in the middle. You're
Kind
not the
of, yeah.
baby, but
Yeah. And us 2 middle kids are 18 months apart, I believe. So we were pretty close growing up. We still are. Um, but yeah, we were in the middles.
which brings a different dynamic, I think, sometimes when you're in a
It
family
does.
structure like that.
Yeah, I feel like it was not that we ever were treated differently, but it's kind of like you said with your parents, like they raised you completely different than they raised, the boys 18 years later.
Right.
And it's the same type of thing. It's like, even though we're all pretty close in age within, I think, like 4 years, all of us, you have like the first child, and then you have the last child, of course, is raised differently than the first child. And, so, and that's just parenting. You learn as you go,
Right.
you know. And my mom was amazing. Like, she was an amazing single mom. Like, it was really, really hard for her. But she still gave us a good childhood, even up until she met my stepdad. Like, she had help, but like, she busted her ass every day,
Right.
you know?
Which, I mean, the other side of that is you guys are left alone. You're
Not
spending
alone, but like
well
with my
left with your
grandparents.
grandparents.
Yeah, cousins.
So
We
I
always
mean,
had family.
she's focused on making sure she's providing
Yeah,
for you.
of course. She had like 4 kids that
Right.
were small.
So again, that's that fine line of she's focused on doing the right thing by you, but that can lead to feelings of not getting enough
Yeah.
attention.
And I don't feel like at the time I felt ever, and I don't think ever I've ever really felt like, oh, I feel traumatized by this,
Right.
but I think, she met my stepdad and they were a new couple. They got married, like they're newlyweds, like they want to be together, they want to spend time together. And, we had an amazing childhood. But I think in no matter what household you come from, or there's always going to be some feelings of like, I don't have enough attention. You know, I want more. And I think for me and my perspective, I always wanted my mom's attention. Like I didn't care if she was running 2 blocks down to the gas station. I wanted to go. Like I was whatever they call it now, FOMO.
Yeah.
Like I had FOMO. I didn't want my mom to do anything without me, and
And for you old folks, that's fear of missing out.
fear of missing out. Yeah, I didn't want to miss out, especially when it came to my mom. Like I just wanted to be with her and do whatever she was doing.
And you're still that way a little bit.
And I'm still a mama's girl. But yeah, like you start feeling like there's not, she's spread very thin growing up. Before she met my stepdad, she was spread thin because she had to provide. She had 4 kids to feed. And then when they got married, it was like, well, now there's more time because she's spending time with him, but she's also trying to provide and taking care of 4 kids. And I don't think it was ever anything that I don't think anybody can. I feel like even with us sometimes, like we can't even always fulfill our kids' needs in that aspect of they always want our attention. They always want our time. It's a 24/7 thing. So there's not any blame in her, you know. I think just as a kid, because I can look at it now as an adult and understand it. But as a kid, you don't understand those things. You're just like, all I know is I want more time with my mom, or.
Right.
And so you're like, well, maybe it's just not, you don't understand that she is spread thin and she has all these things on her plate at the time. You just think like she doesn't have time for me,
Right.
And I don't fault her for that.
Well, that's that universal truth that we only know our perspective.
Right. Yeah.
And in that moment when you're a child, you really don't see the bigger picture of
No.
bills and
Yeah, because
having
that's
a roof
not
over your
your
head.
right. That's not your responsibility. That's not something you've ever done. And now as an adult, we can look back and say, and I can say, like, she actually did a damn good job of spreading herself between us kids, given, because I think I was 10. They got married when I was 10. And then shortly after we moved from California to Utah so that my dad could go to school. And, he was in school for years and she was the sole provider financially. And so, like, even more so, I can look back and think, I don't know how she did that. Like, I don't think I could even do it with 2 kids. It's hard for me. Like, when I am working or when I have worked, it's very hard for me to manage the 2 kids we have, a marriage, the house, you know what I mean? And I was not solely responsible for the financial part of it. So I look back and I think, like, she did a hell of a job, given my perspective at the time,
Right.
but yeah. Anyway, my mom's amazing.
She is amazing.
But, and my stepdad is too. Like, he had no hesitation took on 4 kids that, like, he didn't have to.
Right.
He didn't have to, take on 4 kids and raise them, 'cause I never felt, in my perspective, that I was a stepchild, I still don't feel like he's my dad, and I feel like he's never made that disconnect, which I know can happen in a lot of families when they do, you know, have step parents. But I've never felt that way. Um, so I just feel like when you're growing up and you don't have those other perspectives, and so a lot of feelings come that are like they don't love me, they don't want me, they don't want to spend time, but it's not that. Like I don't know if our kids ever feel that way, but that's definitely not how we feel. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
we love our kids. We want to spend every moment we can with them. But you still have to work and you still have to sustain your marriage and you still have a house to run. And
Well, and that's one of, like I say, it's one of those things that perspective is really lost. You don't really gain higher levels of perspective until you start having to deal with some of that stuff. So as
Mhm.
a kid, for you, your sole purpose in life is it's about me.
Yeah.
It's not about, and I don't know what it's like. Like I said, I grew up as an only child, so I don't know what that difference is in mentality when you do have siblings, but it's very much poor me.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think you start, and we've even seen it in our kids that you start to see they start pointing out and feeling like you're giving that kid more attention than me, or you're doing more with them, or you love them more. Like, we have experienced that with our kids. One feels like the other one's more important, or they're loved more, or um, and again, when you're a kid, you don't understand all of the aspects. You don't understand that things that we now understand looking and being parents, that we are like, well, maybe I have been spending a little more time because their needs change on the daily basis. This day, our oldest may need me more than my youngest. So,
right,
but in their perspective, it's you're doing more, you love her more, And so I think there was also some of that. Like maybe my oldest sibling needed more attention, whoever of the three needed more attention. And you kind of look at it and go, well, this one's good. Let me focus on this one for
yeah.
like this one needs me more than this one at the moment. So, um, and that's hard with 4 kids. And I think it's even harder as a parent to evaluate, and you can't always treat them all exactly the same,
Right.
you know? Um,
Which I feel like was the difference with maybe your grandpa.
mhm.
Because I feel like when you talk about your grandpa, he was very good about spreading that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean, because you felt the same way about your
Right.
grandpa, but I think it's easier for grandparents. And I could say the same thing about my mom now with our kids is because you don't have all the other
Yeah.
expectations and all the other aspects of it, because grandparents don't have to provide financially. They don't have to be there 24/7. They don't have to. So I think it's a different dynamic that way. Um so anyway, we ended up moving to Utah, and
And
I don't
did you like Utah?
I hated it at first. I was still pretty young. I mean, I was Gabby, Olivia's age, our kids' ages, and so it was different. It was really hard, I think, for me because I didn't have my grandpa. I didn't have everybody that I had grown up with, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, there wasn't "We're going to grandpa's this weekend."
Yeah, because you guys grew up pretty close to like your cousins and
Mhm. Yeah.
big family dynamic.
Yeah. My mom's side of the family plus, my dad's side of the family now.
Right, because
They were all there.
they lived close to you.
Yeah,
That's how
we
they.
lived in apartments and, they lived directly across the hall. So it's like, bottom apartments, and then you have stairs that go up, and there's one here, one here. So and there's like not an enclosed hall, but
But like a breezeway.
yeah, like a breezeway. And they lived directly across from us. Um, so yeah, we had everybody that we grew up with or, that was our family back in California, and it was all new. And as a kid, that's hard to be kind of uprooted from everything and the people you know. And I think that's when it started. Like for me, it was just I took on that negative mindset of I'm just not going to be happy, you know? And I started, my rebellion or whatever stage and got in with, people that weren't doing. I mean, I don't think they were horrible people, it was just your kids, and then you go into being a teenager, and you're experimenting things, and you're, skipping school, and you're just doing things that you're not supposed to be doing or that you wouldn't have done before.
And some of that could be attention seeking behavior.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't feel like I ever was, like, super close with certain people or, like, it was just, like, me and another person, and so I always kind of felt like I had friend groups, and so kind of like you, like, I always felt like maybe I needed to make myself stand out, and so I was doing the things and, maybe the other people wouldn't do, but it made me stand out.
Right.
And that's like we've talked about with our kids is, attention is attention, whether it's bad or it's good. Um, Negative attention is still attention. And so I think looking back now as an adult, I can say that that definitely was my mindset. Like, if I'm not going to get attention by being good, I'm going to get it by being bad. And
Right.
I got it. I put my parents through hell. Um, and it got to a point where I was, smoking, drinking, not going to school. They couldn't find me some nights till 3 in the morning. And they were planning on and getting ready to,
And so, just so that I understand the timeline a little bit. So this is like from 10 to like 15, 16?
yeah, yeah. Um, and it's, I probably should have started out with this, but it's really hard for me to remember a lot. I don't have very many memories, specific detailed memories, um, from childhood.
Which I think we can get into that.
A different, yeah,
Yeah. Well, and we can get into that closer to like now,
yeah,
later
yeah,
on in your story.
yeah,
Um, because it'll kind of bring everybody back to, okay, well, that makes sense.
right,
So 15, 16 ish,
yeah.
you're doing everything you're not supposed to be doing,
Yeah, I was never home. I was out. They didn't know what I was doing. Smoking, drinking,
get in trouble in school,
get in trouble
fighting.
in school. Um, and my parents had decided that my dad was going to take a job in Northern California. Um, and we were going to move there. And I don't, again, have a lot of memories. So I don't know exactly how that played out. I don't, I don't know what. if it was even just remember it being in 1997 that I ended up in Northern California, but
So they sent you to Northern California
they sent me to Northern California.
to try and keep you out of trouble?
To try to keep, I think yeah, I remember at the time it being, we need to get you away from this situation, from these people, from what you're doing. And, um, like I was going into my senior year of high school and I needed to get it together. Um, but I think the hard part for me was that they sent me by myself and they all stayed back. They weren't coming. I don't remember how long it was until they ended up coming and moving, but they sent me there by myself to live with my grandparents, um, my dad's parents. And so for me, as a teenager, I didn't understand it like I do now as an adult. Because like I've told you, I would I would have done the same thing for our kids had we been in that situation of, we need to get her out of here, away from these people. Um, this is already in our plans, but we need to get her there now. Um, and they felt at the time that that was what needed to be done. From my perspective, though, it was, they don't want me. I'm not good enough. I'm not, like, you're just go away because I don't want to deal with you right now. And maybe there was a little bit of some of that. Like, I could understand that as well now as an adult. Like, I need to get our shit together to get us moved. So I need you to be out of that picture. But as a teenager, like, that didn't feel good.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
senior year, I mean, that's a
that's a
big
big,
time
yeah.
for
Yeah. Because again, like, if you put it all in like a timeline, it was like, I spent 10 years in California.
just established everything,
Yeah. Like,
friends, and you're starting to get into your
yeah.
groove of things,
And then again,
right.
kind of uprooted, and so, um, and I was already in that mindset as a teenager of like, I don't care. I didn't care about anything, kind of like you when you talk about your darkness. Like, I wasn't, in into drugs and stuff like you were, but I was in some darkness within myself, and feeling like I'm not enough. I'm just, I'm unlovable or I'm unwanted, and so I didn't care. I didn't care what people thought. I didn't care what I did. I didn't care what my parents thought. I didn't care about how, my actions affected them. And, and so, yeah, I was in California with my grandparents and, my grandparents were great. They took care of me. They made sure I was at school um, but again, it's my mindset. I didn't care. You know,
Yeah,
I met some good people there, but I
you,
also met some really bad people.
you didn't see it as an opportunity to start over. You
No,
saw it as a punishment.
I saw it as a punishment, and that was kind of my attitude towards it. Like, okay, the scenery changed, but I still was smoking. I still was,
Yeah.
doing a lot of those things and just hanging out with people that did the same. And um,
And so this is senior year.
this is senior
You're
year,
getting ready to graduate.
98. Yeah. And I had just turned 18, and we decided to do like a girls' day or whatever because we were pretty close to Reno. Um, and so, you went to Reno a lot to do your big shopping and the mall and stuff. And because we lived in a pretty small town. Um, and
Yeah. Now, as I understand it, the town that you guys lived in is basically at the end of a freeway.
It's
Like
literally,
the freeway ends in this town.
it's like the end of the freeway. Yeah, you're just like dumped into the town. um, so there wasn't a lot to do. Like, and I, me and my friends were not the only kids that got in trouble, and it was a small town, and there's nothing to do. There was a college there, so you just drank and smoked and
Did what college kids do.
hang out with the college boys, even as you know
Mm.
high schoolers. And anyway, so we had decided to go to Reno that day, and just hang out, go to the mall, whatever. Um, and one of my friends at the time, she was pretty well known for stealing. She just was a teenager, and that's, what she did. And we went to a department store, and we're just, shopping, whatever, looking around. She wanted to try on a whole bunch of stuff. I don't remember if I was trying on stuff or not, but we decided to go into the dressing room together and stuff. And, you're with your girlfriend. Like, we just went in together, and we were going to get dressed together and try stuff on together. Like, we didn't have separate rooms. Um, and she started shoving a bunch of clothes into her bags, like, because we had bags from stuff that we had already bought throughout the mall. And she just started shoving all this stuff that she was supposed to be trying on into these bags. And I just thought, okay, you know, that's her choice. Like, I didn't, and maybe I should have said something, but I didn't. Like, I was just like, okay. Um, and we walked out. She took her bags, and we started to walk out of the store. And I don't remember. I feel like maybe I had carried one of the bags for her. I don't remember. I only remember because I know myself, and I know that I did not take anything, um, myself personally. Um, and there was like three security guards met us outside and told us, "Oh, you need to come with us. We need to check your bags. Um, we can see you on camera. You were stealing." Um, and I thought, okay, but not me. Like, I didn't. Like, she's gonna get in big trouble.
Right.
Like, she's in trouble. Little did I know, she was only 17, maybe even 16 at the time, I can't remember. Um, and I had just turned 18.
So you're the adult.
I'm the adult in the situation. So they took us to this little room, they're looking through all the bags, they're adding everything up, they had called the police. The police came, um, and they arrested me. They took her to juvie, and they said, "We're arresting you for grand larceny." And what was the other one? Robbery or something. I don't know. Um, there was a few charges, and I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess I'm going to jail." And I just remember feeling so a little bit of like, I don't care, but also like, but I didn't do it. Like, I didn't steal. Those weren't, but I was guilty by,
Association.
yeah,
Well,
because I walked with her.
just so, I mean, a lot of people probably don't know, or maybe they do, but generally in law enforcement, the way it works is oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes they're going to charge you with as much as they can to try and get a plea deal out of you.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
can play it down.
yeah, so that's one facet of what you encounter. The other facet is they are going to always charge the adult.
And they did.
Um, regardless of who's involved in the situation, if you are the adult, you're catching the charge that
Yeah.
is generally the most serious.
And I did. Um, and, now looking back on it, part of it was my fault. Did I steal merchandise? No. But I didn't interfere with what she was doing. I didn't tell her it was wrong. I didn't say, I want no part of this. I'm out. If you want to do this, you continue. Like, there are a lot of things that I could have done to protect myself that I didn't. And so anyway, I ended up going to Reno Women's Correctional Facility. Um, and I remember just calling my mom and being like, this is what happened and they're charging me. Um,
I would have loved to have been in that conversation, just knowing your dad, what that
I don't,
conversation would
I
have been.
don't even, I don't know the words even that I said. A lot of that is like blacked out from my memory.
I am mad. I just knowing your dad and knowing.
I remember snippets. I remember snippets of like being there from the time it happened to the time I got out of jail. I just remember like little snippets of it. And I remember being on the little payphone that they have in the area where they book you.
Right.
And I remember just sitting there thinking, this is, I guess, going to be my life. Like, those are big charges. Even then, at the time, I was like, that's felony. Like, that's a lot. And I remember feeling scared because I hadn't been in trouble before. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know who I was going to be, you know, around or with. And
Well, that's the scariest thing, right? Is
it's the
you don't, yeah,
unknown.
you
Yeah.
don't know what you're walking into in that
No.
situation.
And
And TV and news and
yeah,
all
like
this stuff. I mean, it
it's
shows you some.
scary. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very scary. And I don't even know that I remember thinking like, oh, I need my mom to get me out of here. I think I was more in the mindset of like, this is my life, I guess. This is what I'm going to have to do. Um, and I don't even remember how long I was there, to be honest. I'd have to ask my mom. I'm sure she knows down to a T. Because I can't imagine as a parent, that's any phone call that you want or any, I'm sure it was excruciating for them. But they did come and get me out. Um, got a lawyer, ended up pleading them down from felonies to misdemeanors, and then had to pay a fine. Um, but I think that experience for me was
jarring enough.
jarring enough to be like, yeah, I don't want to go down this path anymore. It also gave me a little glimpse of like the shit that I do put my parents through at the time, or that I was putting them through. And you don't fully understand even then as an 18-year-old, like you're still a kid. You may be an adult by the book, but you're still a kid. And I just started to realize like, this isn't what I want to do. This isn't who I want to be. This isn't who I am. Um, and so I ended up moving to my sister that is 18 months older than me. She was living down in southern Utah with some girlfriends. She was going to college. She was, getting her life on track. And I decided to go move in with her. And to try to just have and have that new start that I think my parents wanted for me, when they moved me back to California.
Right.
Um, and I was doing better, you know. I was working, I was trying to do better, be better. Um, and I had my sister, and she's, a great person too. Like, she's a good influence. So she was helping me to kind of be on the right track. um, but I ended up meeting someone that I don't know how to explain it. He just was manipulative. He was abusive. He was very controlling. Um, and I think that was my first real experience with love, or what I thought love was, or what love is supposed to be. Um, and I think that kind of set that precedent for it's just what it is. That's what you do in a relationship, you know. You
So,
you put up with it.
I mean, the fancy word for it now is domestic violence, right?
Mhm.
But so you're subject to the gambit, probably the
Yeah, I mean,
manipulation, the
yeah,
verbal abuse, the
emotional,
emotional abuse.
yeah. And I think people don't realize too that, like, for me anyway, my perspective is it wasn't even the physical, it was I mean, even the physical was pretty minimal. I mean, no physical is right, but, like, compared to the mental and the emotional and, like, the manipulation, I think that is what messes you up even more. For me anyway, it messed me up way more than I think the physical. Um, and so
Because that also contributes to some of that underlying feeling that you had already
yeah,
of what am I doing wrong? Maybe.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, and it's weird the tricks it kind of plays on your mind. It's like when you're in it, it's like, this is all I deserve. This is all it's ever going to be. And so I just need to accept it and be happy with it. Um, because if not, they're going to leave me. And then again, I'm unwanted. I'm not, I won't ever be good enough. And, a lot of those situations, those partners will tell you that. And, I, it was drilled into me that, like, you can leave, but, like, you won't ever find anybody like me. Nobody's ever gonna love you like this. Nobody, And so you just get into this space where it's like, it's acceptable. This is just my life, you know? And I was already kind of had that mindset. Like, when I had went to jail, it was just like, accept it for what it is. This is what my life's gonna be. Deal with it. Um, and it ended up that my sister was going to go on a mission for the church. And my parents had moved around that same time. They had moved from Northern California here to Idaho. And this was around 99, 2000.
so 2 years after graduation.
And then,
So you're about 20.
yeah, I was around 20, 19, 20. And she was leaving to go on her mission to a different state. Um, and she was coming to Idaho first, though, because she was gonna fly out of Boise, I believe.
Probably to see your parents.
Yeah, and we had to move, all of her stuff
Right.
up here to where my parents were. Um, so I came with her, and I was like, "I guess I'm moving to Idaho." I mean, I didn't really have anywhere else to go. And it was at a point in time where it was like, I had found out that my ex was with 10 other women and all these kids, and it was just a mess. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
But for
And this is
context,
my opportunity
right.
to,
But for context, this is still your first love, so you still
yeah,
got all of that comes along with your first puppy love.
yeah. I mean, it was hard. But it's always been, for me, it's always been easier and very easy for me to choose my family over a man because, even especially at that point in my life, it was like, no, I want to go with my sister and I want to go be with my parents. And so for me, it was like, yeah, I love him, but, again, like I'm a mommy's girl. Like I want to go be with my mom, and this is my opportunity. So I'm taking it. But we were still together or whatever, and he ended up coming here to Idaho shortly after. Um, he decided he was going to come and we would work it out and blah blah blah.
So he was going to move here?
Yeah, he moved here. He came here, and um he wasn't here very long. Um and I had been here for, I want to say, I don't remember the exact timeline, but I want to say it was a couple months before he came. So I had been, on my own. I had been experiencing life without him and how much better it was. And so by the time he got here, I was just like not into it, like not, I think a little bit I was trying to make it work, but I didn't want to. And yeah, there was an instance where we got in a fight and he laid his hands on me for the last time. And I just remember calling his mom and being like, I'm taking him to the airport. So you probably should figure out a flight. Um,
And at the time, your dad and your brother know?
they don't know. I didn't tell them until after. Um,
Because
because I know my dad and my brother and they didn't like him anyway. So, um, yeah, that was the last time I saw him, and I just kind of broke that. And at the time, I remember thinking, I will never do this again. Like, I won't. I'm not going to do this to myself again. Um, Even if I have to be alone. If that means being alone, okay. Like, I was finally, I think, centered in on my family and how important it was and everything that I had put them through. And that was important to me. So I felt like I'm never I'm not going to put myself through that anymore. I'm starting to kind of feel like I do deserve more. Like that doesn't have to be my life, you know?
so on that note, we are going to
And part one.
end part one of Dustie's story. Please, join us for the second part of her story. And we wish you all a blessed week. And we'll see you on the next one.